Mayor Roland Dykes.
Here.
Vice Mayor Connie Hall.
Here.
Alderman Mike Hansel.
Here.
Alderwoman Savannah Ollinger. Here. Alderman Randy Reagan.
Here.
Alderman Steve Smith. City Attorney Terry Hurst.
Here.
City Administrator James Finch.
Here.
Thank you. In your booklet, you have a copy of the minutes of previous meetings from December 10th, 2024. You got a chance to look those over. With entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve the minutes of December 10th, 2024 has been properly seconded. Please signify your attendance by aye.
Aye.
Nays have like sign. Motion carries. Item 4, proclamation and/or recognition of citizens by the mayor, which I have none at the moment, but I think Alderman Hansel has something he wants to add.
Thank you, Mayor. If you'll recall, last month, I brought before council about the need to establish a position within the fire department for emergency management issues. After further conversation with Chief, he's had a subsequent conversation with Tina, and really by default, that probably should go to him. So if you'll see before you where there's a letter that he has drafted up with the job specs and requirements for him, and if it ever becomes a full-time position or something in the future, we'll already have that in stone and that. So now, the chief is going to have those responsibilities.
Anyone else? Johnson? Everyone passed. Hearing none. We have now communication by City Administrator, Mr. James Finch.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a few things tonight. Number one, police department update. The status of the old police department is still up in the air. We have had additional inspections and evaluations of it. The building is continuing to sink, and we've got a detailed report on what all's wrong with it, but we don't have a report yet on what it would cost to fix it. So we're still waiting on that. It's the inspector that came in, finally we got another one to come in this last time, and he did a more detailed report on it. And he says that it's not obvious, but it has sustained substantial damage due to the foundation shifting and sinking, that it would be a major task to stabilize the foundation of it. So we still don't know if it's going to end up being at 51% to fix it. We've got to get a good appraisal on what it was worth prior to the event. We're working on that. But through the holidays, it was really hard to get anything done. Chief Lamb's done a good job trying to track people down to come in and evaluate the building, and nobody would call him back through the holidays. And then after we came back after the first of the year last week, then everybody started calling him back. So we are moving again now, but we were at a standstill pretty much since the last meeting, because we did get into the holidays and everybody was taking off and nobody would call us back to come look at anything. So we are slowly seeing progress as far as trying to get a complete evaluation on what is possible with the building. It is our goal to save the building, but based on this last report, it put a little bit of more doubt in play on whether or not that's going to be feasible. So I can't give you a definitive answer yet, but I wanted to give you an update because I get asked about it, and I know you guys do too, and ladies. And so that's where we are on it. As far as the police department moving forward, I asked for permission to approach some property owners and talk about the possibility of purchasing property to build the police department in a new location. We have been doing that. Mr. Hurst has been instrumental in helping take care of that. One of them, of those three, we've pretty much ruled out just because it's cost prohibitive and he doesn't want to sell the entire property that we need. The other two are wanting us to basically make an offer, And, I mean, we're moving forward trying to figure out how to make that, come up with that. But I have put this in front of you, and this is a fourth property that Chief Lamb has identified as a possibility. So I wanted to make you aware that we are going to talk to these folks and see what's what with it. It is for sale. But right now, the number they threw out is a little high. So we'll just have to see where that goes. But this is a pretty good location, but we'll have to see what we can do price-wise on it. So again, I wanted to bring you up to speed on where we are, so y'all know exactly what's going on. But I've got all the information in this little packet that I gave you as far as who owns it and where it is, and the size of it, and the value, the appraised value of it. Okay, the interstate traffic. Again, back to Chief Lamb. He and his staff have been doing a great job with limited resources to try to keep the traffic moving through town. And the whack-a-mole process of turning lights on and off and juggling them around seems to be kind of working for the most part for now. We are still trying to get a second quote on getting a turn lane arrow at Brock's. We got one quote, and it's high. And we really need, it's still under 10,000, so we don't have to bid it. But we're trying to get another quote, and so far nobody's responded to us. But we're still trying to get another quote on getting that installed. We've also, I've been receiving complaints, and I know some of you have, because Connie talked to me about it, about the turn lane at the Memorial Building to come down and turn up the Cosby Highway. A lot of traffic is neglecting to do that and trying to merge into eastbound traffic on Broadway. And it's a real problem when it's the tractor-trailer trucks, because they take up the entire intersection. And so I went out, and after I started getting complaints about it, I went out and looked at it, and the markings have faded. And so we have put in a request to the company that does the marking for the state and for us, and got on their list. And like everything, you can't call them and they'll come tomorrow. You call them and they work you in down the line when they can. And it's going to be a while before they get here to freshen up all the lines there. They are worn down and faded. So what I've asked Ben to do, we don't have the stuff now to make the turn arrows and things that we need there, but because we only do it on parking lots. But I've asked Ben, we're going to order the decals that you lay down and spray the paint around to put those arrows down and paint them down. Now, these companies put down decals which are rubberized and last a long time. The paint just does not last very long. And plus it's got to be so warm to do it. So first we got to get the decals in that we can paint, and then we got to catch a warm enough day to do it. But we're going to put more turn arrows back in there on the ground. Now, long-term solution is we're also going to look at modifying that traffic light. If you look when you come east, there's a green, red, yellow light for that turn lane. And I think that's what's confusing a lot of people. And even the guy with the state, when we talked to them, said that it would be a good idea to have a turn arrow there only. A yellow one and a green one. Well, maybe a red one. You know, the yellow ones flash, the green ones when it's okay, and the red ones when it's not safe. And we think that'll help. But right now, ultimately that'll have to be approved by you guys. But right now, we got to get permission from the state to do it. So even though a state guy, when Ben told him we were going to take his recommendation. Oh, no, don't quote me, man, I can't give you, it was just his opinion, and he couldn't give you an official okay to do that. So he got in a little bit of a panic, thought he'd get in trouble with his bosses for, like he'd give us permission to do something he didn't have the authority to do. So we understand that, but that was his recommendation, and I think it was a good one. And Ben and I discussed it, and we talked about it in the department head meeting, and we're all pretty much in agreement that that's the way we need to go. And they wanted us to check with our traffic engineer, which is the police chief, and he's in agreement. So right now, it's in the hands of the state in Knoxville to say, yeah, we can do it, and then next month, we'll be back in asking you all to approve it. But right now, it's not been okayed by the state. So so right now, that's where we are with that. But I think that should have been done a long time ago. I think that would have helped alleviate that problem way back, because it's always been a problem, but it's a bad problem now. And and I get people's frustration with it. But we'll do what we can, but it's just another one of those things where the wheels turn slow because you're at the mercy of the state, and they don't hurry up for anybody. We've got another issue that has come up, and a few months back, it come to our attention from the property assessor's office that according to their records, there were 11 parcels of property that were around the city that were supposed to be on the city's tax rolls and were not. And so our position on that was that, well, we need to research that and see, why, if they were annexed at some point years ago, why were they never added into the mix? And so we've been in the process of going through the state, through the East Tennessee Development District, trying to check their records and see, and everything we've looked at so far conflicts. Some say they're in, some say they don't. And what it's boiled down to is we're going to have to go back to the root source and look through the annexation books, and which is the council books, but you have to go through the minutes starting back in '95 and move forward and find the boundaries of what was annexed, because all that started in '95 out west. And so we thought that nothing would be done as far as going on the tax rolls until we had settled the matter, because there was a question, are they in or are they not? There's conflicting data on it. But what happened was they got put on. Now, we didn't put them on. They were put on through the system. And so now these folks are getting tax bills, and they're upset, and I don't blame them. I mean, if I'd owned a piece of property or lived somewhere for 20 years, and now all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get a tax bill from the city of Newport, and that's all news to me, I'd be upset too. So I've instructed the staff not to let anybody pay those, to put those on hold until we can figure out what the deal is. Because we thought that they would be added on next year or something, once we got to the bottom of are they in or are they not. And so we hadn't been making it a high priority because we were checking with these other organizations, and like I say, it takes them forever to get back to you. When you ask for information from any of these groups that we deal with, sometimes it's weeks, if not months, before you get something back from them, because they have a lot of stuff on their plate and you get in line. And so they look your stuff up once everything in front of you gets taken care of. So you might get it back in 2 weeks, and you might get it back in 2 months. So, nobody moves you to the head of the line when you call these organizations for reference material. So in case any of them call you, and also for the public record, We have no intent of making anybody pay city taxes that's not supposed to. So, you know, our position is that you are supposed to, yeah. And we're not going to go back and say, well, you know, you should have been paying them for 20 years. I mean, that's our mistake. If we made that mistake, then that's on us, you know. But I do want to get to the bottom of it before anybody has to pay taxes on it. I think my understanding is one lady may have already come and paid and didn't question it, just paid it and went on. If we find out that she was unfairly taxed, we'll absolutely refund her money. So this is just one of those weird deals that the way I understand it, it started out with the state sending a notification to the property assessor's office. And the property assessor's office forwarded it to us. And then the property assessor's office added them to the tax roll. We did not add them to the tax roll. We don't deal with the tax rolls. That gets done between the property assessor and the state. We don't deal with that. And so, of course, we're the one that collects the money, so we're the ones that people kind of, you know, want to reach out to, and I get that. But just to make y'all aware, in case, and I've got the list here of the 11 properties. If anybody wants to look at it, I didn't make everybody a copy because I didn't know. None of y'all have mentioned it to me. So I figured if any of y'all had been contacted, you would have mentioned it by now. But to give you a heads up on it, because they are complaining, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them a bit. You know, it's a really screwed up deal. I've never had a deal like this. This is a new one on me. I found properties that we thought was in the city that wasn't, and that wasn't in that we thought was, but not 11 at one time. I've never seen that many at one time come down the pike. So we are doing everything we can do to get to the bottom of it, but it still may take us a few weeks to get it resolved. Finally, end on a little better note. Received an email from our lawyers today on the Justin Gilbert lawsuit against the city. That has been thrown out. It has, and his timeline for appealing that decision by the court has expired. So it is over. It is done with. That's all I got, Mayor. Yes, sir.
What about the street behind Con?
That, as I told you back last month, what we found out is that there is a state law that says that a food or beverage company has to be secured by a fence. And so that fence that's up around, that goes all up and down East Main Street there, is the fence they put up to secure the building when ConAgra, of course ConAgra fit that mold for everything. Old Smoky qualifies because it's technically a beverage company, and so is Keurig Dr. Pepper. They qualify also that they have to be secured by a fence. So the only way that we could open that street up would be for a fence to be put on the other side of the street. And I've not went up there and just looked at it. Now, the chief has went up and looked at it more than I have, as far as the possibilities of trying to do that. But based on that, I don't think we're going to be able to do anything with it. Now, I do think, and he and I have talked about this, and it is possible, but it's going to require some new gates. It looks to me like that the underpass could be opened, especially now that the other exit is closed coming out of River Street up the bridge. Since they're building that trestle back, that end, there's only one way in and one way out to that whole community. And I would think it would be justified to keep that underpass open that we use as an emergency evacuation route. Because it's, we've got extenuating circumstances with the other end being closed and having only one way in and out. But I don't know. When Scott and I talked about it, he said there would have to be a new gate system put in place, and that's kind of where we left it.
Well, I've got some questions. If it has to be fenced in, is all of the back open for access? It's been years since I've been through there.
I hadn't been through there since they sealed it off.
If that's the case, why couldn't they fence in the part that's open, accessible to employees that work there? And could they legally, did they get approval from the railroad to put the fence up to start with? Because don't the railroad own the right of way?
Yeah.
Well, then
I have no idea about that.
I think that needs to be checked out. And if the fence is the issue, then all of the front up here on 2570 is blocked. Shouldn't that, if it's stated that way, shouldn't that block wall be fenced in too?
Well, there's a lot of fence down through there. I'm not sure if there's any open spaces.
I can see
I'd have to look.
steps going up the door that entered as I come in the sewers. But I think we could, if they didn't get approval from the railroad and just put the fence up years ago, the railroad does own the street, don't they?
They control 100 feet on either side of the center of the railroad track.
Well, I'd like for the city to press the issue, if we can, Terry, that they put a fence up in the area, like if there's a gap in the building or where humans move around, let them put a fence up on that part so that street can be opened up for the city's use again.
Darrell, have you looked at that any up there behind? I know you've been up there with some of the folks that were interested in the property.
I have not, but I don't mind to have another conversation with the real estate agents actually in Wisconsin. And I have spoken to them, but we have not addressed that issue.
Would you mind to check on that, please?
I would, yes, sir.
And Darrell, if you could, I'd like to know if ConAgra got permission to put the fence up that close to the railroad track on their property.
Okay.
Because I'm concerned about the people here, not ConAgra years ago, that was the thing the city did for them to keep them here, and they're not here. So if it just requires a fence, I'd say you put it right at the side of the building and let the citizens use that, and that'd take a lot of traffic off of downtown, locals, to go that way. I know I go that way. So,
Okay. I'll check into that and I'll get back to Mr. Finch.
Any other comments? We'll move on. Item 6, appointment of boards, commissions, and committees. And item A is the discussion of reappointment to the Police Service Board. Eric Gray, who was appointed by the police department.
Yeah, it's just, all we do is just read it into the record. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Gray. Item 7, reports from committees, members, council, and other officers.
Mr. Mayor, I guess I got a reminder and a request. Last year when we changed some things on how the public safety was paid in Newport, I just wanted to remind that when we get in the right place, that I'd like to see if we can put those people back, or at least some of them. So I guess my request would be Chief Lamb and Chief Shelton get with Tina and see if there's a way we can put at least one back on public safety, each, fire and police. Because when we had this problem, there's a lot of things we can do to help alleviate the problem when the flood and all that happened. But one of the biggest things we could have done, and I know at the time, they were both shorthanded, would have had more people in fire trucks and police cars. So I'd just like to remind and request that we look into that, see if there's a way to put one back on each department. If there's not, there's not. But
Well,
just a reminder to
Sure.
check on that.
Well, that's always in the back of our minds, that situation. But the one thing, and the fact that they, postponed opening the interstate. Originally, the interstate was going to reopen one lane in each direction on January 1. Now that's been pushed back indefinitely. And so we got our first sales tax check for the month of October. And when you factor in the average yearly growth year over year for the last 5 years, and then below what we took in for the same month last year, it was down between $35,000 and $40,000 for October.
I realize we have a problem.
Yeah.
That's just, like I said, it's just a reminder.
Sure,
That we need.
but just-
I know from experience that Mr. Gresham starts the budget on January 1st.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Now's the time to look.
Right. But right now, we're really having to evaluate what our cash flow is going to be, our revenue stream, because, every bit that we lose, we have to cut something. And so this is going to be a tough year, budget-wise. It's going to be a bare bones budget this year, just because we're not going to have the revenue stream that we normally have. So we're still in, that's the first month to come in that, since the interstate closed. So that's going to be a constant month-to-month evaluation of how that's affecting our revenue stream. And to be honest, I was afraid it'd be worse. I was looking for it to be twice that. And so it's still a healthy hit, but it's not as bad as I feared it would be. But we always have that in the back of our mind. But I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, like I said, just a reminder. Sitting there, okay, thank you.
Any comments? Move on. Item 8, old business and unfinished business. Item A is consideration of the second reading of ordinance number 2024-10, budget amendment for the Newport Grammar School.
Mayor, I'll read that section into the record. Ordinance 2024-10, an ordinance of amending the annual operating budget and capital program to the city of Newport, Tennessee, fiscal year 2024-2025 for Newport Grammar School. Second reading.
Further presentation, what's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I guess we need a roll call, please.
Alderman Mike Mansell.
Yes.
Alderwoman Lena Oninger. Yes. Alderman Randy Reagan.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tony Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item B, consideration of second reading of ordinance number 2024-11, amending the municipal code Title 5, municipal finance and taxation, adding Chapter 5, internal control manual for the city of Newport.
We can go with that.
Further presentation, what's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion, we have a motion for, we need a roll call.
Alderman Mike Mansell.
Yes.
Alderwoman Lena Oninger. Yes. Alderman Randy Reagan.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tony Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item C, consideration of second reading of ordinance number 2024-12, amending the City of Newport Municipal Code Title 12 Buildings, Utility, etc. codes, creating Chapter 12 International Energy Conservation Code, and adopting the 2018 International Energy Conservation Code. presentation. What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the board, it's been properly seconded. Please roll call, please.
Alderman Mike Hansel.
Yes.
Alderwoman Lena Ominger. Yes. Alderman Randy Reagan.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tommy Paul.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. New business. Item A, consideration of the first reading of ordinance number 2025-01, budget amendment for Newport Grammar School.
That's ordinance 2025-01, an ordinance amending the annual operating budget, capital program for the city of Newport, Tennessee, fiscal year 2024-2025, for Newport Grammar School.
First reading of the ordinance, for the board's pleasure.
Motion. Second.
Okay. This is first reading, so you still need a roll call.
Alderman Mike Hansel.
Yes.
Alderwoman Lena Ominger. Yes. Alderman Randy Reagan.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Tommy Paul.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item B is consideration of resolution number 2025-01, authorizing the city of Newport to apply for 2025 CDBG grant.
Hello, everybody. So this resolution would be for, as it said, to apply for CDBG 2025. This past Thursday, we had a meeting with Evan Sanders from Community Development Partners that served as a dual-purpose closeout meeting for CDBG 2022, which helped purchase a bunch of swiftwater rescue equipment that Jeremy, they did use some of that in following the floods. So CDBG is actually, they would very much like to brag on us, I think, for that. But you can only have one CDBG program running at a time. And now that we're finally closing out 2022, that opens up the opportunity to apply for 2025. So there's a variety of projects we're looking at. The application's due in March. And right now what we're looking at is to apply for stormwater infrastructure as a stormwater infrastructure project for downtown to continue the work that's already been done, such as the 2022 ARC going on. So, yeah, that's what we're looking for right now.
For the record, could you, the acronym CDBG is?
The Community Development Block Grant. It's federal funded.
Further presentation, what's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the board to approve resolution 2025-01, authorizing the city of Newport to apply for 2025 CDBG grant. Please signify acceptance by aye. Aye. And name that last time. Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C is consideration of resolution number 2025-02, authorizing Newport Utilities Board to participate in the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency's Lean Emergency Assistance Loan Program.
Yes, as we all know, back in September, a lot of Newport residents, as well as county and Newport Utilities, had much damage from the flooding. So we came last month to discuss this loan program. Michael actually came and presented that to you guys. And after getting that final paperwork from the state, it does reference a second borrower, which is what the utilities would be. So we are coming tonight to possibly get a resolution signed to allow us to do the necessary paperwork and things to get this loan started on our side. It will be, just to refresh everyone's memory, it's a $6 million 10-year, zero-interest loan. And the intent behind it is to provide cash flow for the utilities while we're waiting on FEMA, insurance, all those kinds of things. It will help us in not having to raise rates on water and sewer customers, because we will have this money coming in ahead of time that we can spend out as needed. And if you guys, I'm sure you've read through the resolution, but it does designate in there that it will not obligate Newport general funds or anything like that.
Further presentation. What's the board's pleasure? Do you have questions?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
There was a motion on the board then to, for consideration of resolution, 2025-02, authorizing Newport Utility Board to participate in the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency Helene Emergency Assistance Loan Program. Has been properly seconded. Please signify your acceptance by aye.
Aye.
And nays like sign. And motion carries.
Thank you all very much. Like I said, it could be several years before we start getting money back for this. So we really appreciate us being able to go forward with this. Thank you.
Item D is consideration of authorizing the Newport Police Department to apply for a Tennessee Highway Safety Office high visibility grant.
Thank y'all. This is the same high visibility grant that we apply for every year. It's moved up. Last year it moved up to $10,000 instead of $5,000. $8,000 of it is used for equipment. We will designate that equipment for new computers for our patrol cars. $2,000 is for overtime, and it's based where we do DUI checkpoints, things like that, inside the community. And this is just asking for us to be able to apply for it.
Further presentation, what's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion on the board to approve consideration of authorizing the Newport Police Department to apply for a Tennessee Highway Safety Office high visibility grant. Has been properly seconded. Are there any questions to the motion? If not, please signify your acceptance by aye.
Aye.
Nays like sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item E is consideration of hiring canopy land design for grants for parks and recreation.
Yes, sir. There's three parts to this information that on those contracts that we have in your books. These contracts are to complete the design of White Oak, Woodland, and the 10-year master plan. Also, in the contract, there's Task 5, which is additional services. We would like to request that Canopy Design help us with the facilities that we have to renovate at the community center for the Newport Police Department, which we will be able to have in the future. We have plans for that space once the police department does move out, and we would like to request that we're able to hire Canopy Design to be our grants administrator for the Parks and Recreation Department.
Financial component to hiring canopy.
On Canopy, it is based up on the contracts for completion. With the budget amounts, we budgeted certain amount of monies in each project, so there's still remaining monies for each one of those projects in the budget.
I see one figure for White Oak Park, but to be determined for Woodland and City.
Yes, we're around, as far as that development, we're almost finished with the 10-year master plan, which turns into a 2-year plan now. So you spend all these monies to get a 10-year done, now it's turning into a 2-year. So the money is budgeted in the budgets.
Presentation, what's the board's pleasure? Motion to approve. Second. Have a motion on the board to approve the request for consideration of hiring canopy land design for grants for parks and recreation. Has been properly seconded. Are there any other questions to the motion?
Yes, Tim, to be determined amounts, will those be brought back?
It's a set number based up on White Oak, Woodland, and the 10-year master plan. Those numbers are already set. We've spent like 64% of the money that was budgeted to get those designed with Lowe's. When we cancel Lowe's, this is the company that's going to take on the other 36% to finish up those designs for Woodland, White Oak, and the master plan.
Any other questions? Hearing none, please signify your acceptance by aye. Aye. And nays have like sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you, council.
There is no bids, purchases, and expenses to consider tonight. We'll go move on to number 11, which would be comments from citizens.
Mayor, I have one question. James?
Yes, sir.
Any idea when we can open up the one gate for the underpass?
Scott, do you have any idea on that?
I can contact, the biggest problem, Mr. Ball, is whenever we open up that gate, it's going to open up access to the backside of Coagra. And right now, we don't want to do anything that's that's violating the law. And if, my thing is I can reach out to Dale, I can't remember what his name is, he's over Old Smoky, and see if they can, the only thing that I can think of is maybe put another gate down or move the fence up. That's the only thing I can think. The only problem that we're going to have to move the fence up is there's loading docks in the back that are back there that might cause access. It's a Food and Drug Administration law, it's a federal law that we found on the books that enabled them to shut that, or ask the city council to shut that street off. I don't know what it's going to be like going forward. If we deem an emergency, just like when we thought we had flooding a couple of weeks ago, we opened up the gates immediately. So we have access to open up the gates because the police department put their lock on the gates with the permission of the company. And we can open up those gates anytime that we need to for emergency traffic. I just don't want to violate any law whenever it comes to traffic behind the building right now until they can get some sort of barrier put up. That's sort of where we're at.
Okay.
But I can research it and I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Scott, the reason I refer to him is he's the one that has been in negotiations with them. I haven't spoken with them. He has. He's handled all that, and so that's why I referenced it to him, because he's the one that's been heading that up.
Any other comments from citizens? Hearing none, we'll consider adjournment. Motion for adjournment.
Okay.
Second. We are adjourned.
But,